What's up everyone and welcome back to the channel. Let's dive into our first news. Alexander Volkanovski says that despite losing to Islam Makhachev twice, he still has a lot of respect for him and would love to train with him someday. Volk explained that even though he helped JDM prepare to face Islam this weekend, there's no bad blood at all. He said Islam has always been a good dude to him and their interactions have been nothing but respectful. Volkanovski talked about helping JDM because JDM is his guy, someone who has been in his camp multiple times, and as an Aussie, Volk says he'll always support his own. He made it clear that helping JDM doesn't change the respect he has for Islam. Volk said Islam is a great athlete, a disciplined champion, and someone he genuinely admires for his work ethic and attitude. Even with their rivalry inside the cage, Volk believes fighters can still have mutual respect outside of it. He mentioned that training with Islam one day would be an incredible learning opportunity. Volk said he's always looking to grow, evolve, and push himself, and working with someone of Islam's caliber is something he would absolutely welcome in the future. But for now, with JDM preparing for a massive fight, Volk says he's keeping things Aussie first, staying loyal to his team, and helping JDM in every way he can. Still, he repeated that eventually he hopes the timing works out and he gets the chance to train alongside Islam, showing how much respect truly exists between the two. And before we continue, make sure to leave a like on the video and subscribe to help support the channel. Moving on to another news, Carlos Prates says fans completely wrote him off after his loss to Ian Gary. He explains that after that unanimous decision defeat, people acted like he was finished, saying he partied too much, drank too much, and couldn't fight at a high level anymore. Prates says that criticism pushed him to train harder than ever because he wanted to prove he's still here, still dangerous, and still evolving. He believes this weekend's fight against former champ Leon Edwards is the perfect opportunity to remind everyone who he is. Prates says facing a former champion for the first time in his career is huge. He trained 2 to 3 times a day, pushing himself through brutal sessions because he's convinced that if he knocks out Leon in spectacular fashion, just like he did in his last fight, he'll become the next welterweight title contender. He admits there are fighters ahead of him in the rankings, but he also says the sport is entertainment. Fans buy tickets and pay-per-views to watch action, violence, and knockouts, not 25 minutes of hugging. Prates believes he delivers the kind of chaos fans want, and that's why a big win should jump him straight into the title picture. He says he's not thinking about a decision, not thinking about playing it safe. He wants a finish, and he believes the key is breaking Leon physically and then mentally. Prates claims everyone knows Leon can be mentally fragile. Not that he quits outright, but Prates believes there are moments where Leon stops thinking about winning and starts thinking only about surviving. That's the opening he plans to exploit. If he hurts Leon early, he says the rest of the fight will fall into place. Prates also says that because he brings violence every time he steps into the cage, fans tune in specifically for fighters like him. He wants to give them what they came for. He visualizes dropping Leon, getting the knockout, and then 30 minutes later walking right back into the cage to call out the champion. He says he's ready for that moment, ready for the chaos, and ready to show the world that one loss doesn't define him. For Prates, this fight isn't just about rankings or hype. It's about proving he's still in the game, still dangerous, and still capable of destroying the division's best. He wants to silence everyone who doubted him and leave no question about who deserves the next shot at goal. Moving on to another news, Leon Edwards has responded to Carlos Prates and made it clear that Prates is in for a rude awakening this weekend. Speaking to the media, Leon said Prates is alright, but when it comes to pure skills, technique, and overall athletic ability, he believes he's the better fighter in every area. He plans to walk into the octagon on Saturday night and remind Prates exactly who he is. Leon pointed out that the first time Prates stepped up in competition was against Ian Gary, and Ian beat him. He also mentioned Prates' last fight, saying he wasn't sure what Jeff Neal was doing in there. According to Leon, Jeff walked forward with a high guard, stayed flat-footed, and gave Prates the exact openings he needed. Even then, Jeff still found some success, which Leon believes says a lot about Prates' limitations. Leon made it clear that none of those mistakes will happen with him. He says he's coming sharp, focused, and fully prepared to shut down the hype. In his mind, Prates is underestimating the level he's about to face, and Leon is confident that once the cage door closes, closes, Prates will quickly realize the difference. Leon believes Saturday night will be the moment Prates gets humbled, and he's ready to deliver that lesson with authority. Moving on to another news, Valentina Shevchenko says she is not expecting an easy fight at all when she steps in against Zhang Weili this weekend. Valentina made it clear that she's fully prepared for a war and isn't taking anything lightly. She said she knows how tough this matchup is, and she's not going into the octagon thinking it will be simple or straightforward. She expects resistance, she expects danger, and she expects to have to push herself to the limit. Valentina explained that she studied Zhang carefully. She knows the openings she wants to exploit and the weaknesses she plans to use to secure her victory. She said she understands every detail of the game plan, every hole she's seen on tape, and every opportunity she believes she can capitalize on. But even knowing all of that, she emphasized that it doesn't guarantee an easy night. On the contrary, she knows this fight is going to be a real battle. She said she's fully ready for the challenge ahead. She trusts her preparation, her strength, and her power. Valentina said she's extremely confident in herself, but that confidence comes from hard work, not arrogance. She promised that once she steps inside the octagon, she will give everything she has, leaving all her heart, energy, and willpower in that cage. For her, this fight is about proving once again why she remains one of the most disciplined and dangerous fighters in the division. Moving on to another news, Max Holloway shared his prediction for the upcoming title fight and surprised a lot of fans by saying he believes JDM will stop Islam Makhachev in the third round. Max said people can call him crazy if they want, but he's backing JDM in this matchup. He thinks the first two rounds will be extremely competitive, with both men having strong moments, but he believes the real story of the fight will start to unfold as it moves into the deeper waters. Max talked about JDM's takedown defense and his anti-wrestling, saying those tools will be absolutely crucial. He expects JDM to defend a lot of takedowns early, forcing Islam to work harder than usual. According to Max, that constant pressure will start taxing Islam's gas tank. Max acknowledged that Islam trains with big, strong guys, mentioning that Khabib was always a huge presence in the room, but he still believes the size and strength JDM brings on fight night will be a different kind of problem. Max said many people like to claim that Islam never gets tired, but if you watch the fights closely, you can see moments where Islam slows down. He's usually in better condition than the other guy, but the signs of fatigue are there. That's why Max believes JDM's pace, accuracy, and constant pressure could push Islam into uncomfortable territory. He explained that in his mind, he sees the fight playing out with JDM stuffing takedowns, chipping away, and making Islam work harder and harder. Eventually, Max believes Islam will start fading just enough for JDM to take over. Max emphasized how dangerous JDM is with his hands, saying his accuracy is unreal. He described how JDM just keeps pinging you, touching you over and over until the damage becomes too much. Max said once JDM finds his rhythm, he doesn't stop, and that's where he sees the tide turning. Max predicts a third round TKO. He said he's leaning toward JDM because of that pinpoint striking and the way he can maintain pressure without overcommitting. He imagines a scenario where JDM defends takedowns, keeps the fight standing, starts landing clean shots, and eventually overwhelms Islam with volume and precision. For Max, the combination of size, sharp striking, and defensive wrestling makes JDM a real threat, and he believes that on fight night, those ingredients could be enough to shock the world and dethrone Islam. Moving on to another news, Jon Jones released his own powerful promo video for the upcoming UFC White House card, and it instantly grabbed the attention of the entire MMA world. In the video, Jon speaks with pride, intensity, and a deep sense of patriotism as he reflects on what the year 2026 means for America. He says that in the summer of 2026, the United States turns 250 years old, and he couldn't be more proud to call himself an American. He talks about how much he loves this country, its people, its promise, and its fight. Jon says this nation was built on courage, on conflict, and on the belief that Americans could take on the biggest and the boldest challenges and still come out victorious. He connects that spirit to the way he has lived his own life, always taking on the toughest fights and pushing himself beyond limits. He explains that as America approaches this historic milestone, he can't help but imagine a better way to celebrate the nation's fighting spirit than having its greatest fighters put everything on full display for the world to see. He hints at an iconic location, suggesting maybe it's somewhere legendary, or maybe even on a certain someone's lot. A subtle tease that instantly sparked speculation. Jon says that what matters most is the message, reminding the world that America isn't just a country of words, but a country of warriors. He describes fighters as the embodiment of that spirit, the people who show the world what resilience, determination, and courage look like. Jon ends the video with a surge of emotion, saying he's fueled up, fired up, and more ready than ever. He offers a heartfelt "God bless the United States of America" and follows it by praising the fighters who carry its spirit with them every time they step inside the octagon. The promo captures the energy of a historic moment, building massive anticipation for what could become one of the most iconic events in UFC history. Moving on to another news, Kamaru Usman and Henry Cejudo had a heated disagreement on their Pound for Pound podcast while discussing what's really at stake in the upcoming Islam Makhachev versus JDM fight. Usman started by saying that if Islam wins, he'll tie the longest win streak in UFC history, which already puts him in an elite category. Usman argued that Islam has far more to gain because a win would not only continue his dominance, but it would also show he can beat a top contender from the weight class above him. According to Usman, that achievement alone would cement Islam's legacy even further. He explained that if JDM wins, many fans will brush it off by saying he was the bigger guy and should have won. Usman pointed out that casual fans always find ways to discredit someone, just like how people ridiculed Islam for beating Alexander Volkanovski, saying Volk was too small. Usman believes the same thing would happen here. He said Islam winning raises his legacy, but JDM winning simply gives people excuses to downplay the victory. But Henry pushed back hard. He said JDM actually has far more to gain because he'd be defeating someone who comes from Khabib and his father's legendary lineage. Henry argued that beating a fighter molded by that system carries massive weight because of what their name represents. For Henry, taking out the top fighter from Khabib's line puts JDM on a whole different level of respect. Usman didn't agree at all and immediately cut in, saying, "Why are we bringing Khabib into this? This isn't Khabib fighting. This is Islam Makhachev." He insisted that this fight has nothing to do with Khabib and everything to do with Islam, who has built his own history through his own battles. Usman reminded Henry that Islam has earned his place through years of hard work, discipline, and overcoming setbacks, including his early loss to Martins, which he bounced back from in dominant fashion. He said Islam is no longer the young man who got finished early in his career. He's evolved into one of the sharpest, most complete fighters in the UFC, carving his path independently. That's why Usman believes Islam stands to gain the most here. Meanwhile, Henry continued insisting that the symbolic meaning behind beating someone from that lineage is what elevates the moment. Their back and forth made it clear that even among champions, the debate over what legacy truly means can get very intense. Moving on to another news, Ariel Helwani has fired back and called out Dana White after Dana's recent comments claiming that money ruins everything in MMA. Dana argued that once fighters make a large amount of money, their motivation fades, using Conor and Khabib as examples. He suggested that both fighters lost their drive after earning huge paydays. Ariel responded sharply, calling the remarks disrespectful and hypocritical. He pointed out that Dana has personally profited immensely from these same fighters and is worth hundreds of millions of dollars, yet would never claim money ruined anything for him. Ariel posted a video on X saying that to imply Khabib retired because he got rich is incredibly insensitive. He reminded everyone that Khabib has repeatedly explained why he walked away from the sport. It wasn't because of wealth, it was because his father passed away, and he made a promise to his mother that he would stop fighting. Ariel emphasized that reducing such a personal decision to money issues ignores the emotional and family-driven reasons behind Khabib's retirement. He then addressed Dana's comments about Conor. Ariel noted that Conor continued fighting multiple times, even after becoming one of the richest fighters in combat sports. He fought Khabib, he fought Donald Cerrone, and he fought Dustin Poirier twice. He was even scheduled to fight Michael Chandler. Ariel argued that Conor didn't walk away simply because he got paid. The narrative just doesn't match the actual timeline or Conor's actions. Ariel continued by saying that suggesting money is ruining fighters while being someone who has massively profited from their success simply doesn't sit right. He stressed that fighters are often not paid what they deserve, and more often than not, they are underpaid. So hearing a man worth hundreds of millions imply that fighters lose passion because they finally earn something substantial is, in Ariel's words, a little rich. He added that Dana has lived a very comfortable life thanks to the same money he claims ruins others. Ariel made it clear he wasn't going to ignore such comments. He called out the contradiction directly, saying that Dana would would never admit money spoiled anything for him, yet he frames fighters differently. According to Ariel, the reality is simple. Fighters fight because they love the sport, provide for their families, and chase greatness. Money doesn't ruin them. If anything, it reminds people how hard they've worked to earn it. Ariel's response quickly gained traction online, with fans and media weighing in on the debate. Moving on to another news, Jon Jones has officially touched down in New York. But this trip isn't just about media appearances or promotional work. Multiple MMA outlets have reported, and Jones's longtime Russian training partner, Rustam Khabilov, has confirmed that Jon is preparing to link up with Islam and Khabib for several intense training days ahead of UFC 322. This reunion has the entire MMA community buzzing, especially because of the history between Jones and the Dagestani camp. Years ago, Jon visited Dagestan to connect with local fighters, hold seminars, and train across different gyms. Back then, Islam and Khabib weren't part of those sessions, but things are very different now. This time, Team Khabib is set to host Jon directly at their own facility, bringing together one of the greatest to ever compete with two of the most dominant forces in the sport today. Rustam, Jones's former teammate at Jackson Wink and a proud Dagestani himself, verified the news during an interview with Russian media. He confirmed that both Islam and Khabib will be present during Jon's visit, setting up an incredible gathering of elite minds, champions, and world-class competitors. Fans are already hoping to see rare training footage, imagining Jon Jones rolling or sparring with Team Makhachev. Clips like that would shake the MMA world. Rustam also spoke about the deeper connection between the two camps. Javier Mendez, the head coach of Team Khabib, has worked with several fighters who previously trained at Jackson Wink, the very gym that helped shape Jon into one of the greatest fighters in history. Because of that shared lineage, there's always been a quiet but strong bond between the two teams, built on mutual respect and high-level martial arts. In Rustam's interview, he explained that Jon has been wanting to visit the Dagestani fighters again for a long time. He said they had discussed the idea for years, waiting for the perfect moment. Now, with UFC 322 approaching and Islam preparing for a massive defense, the timing finally made sense. Rustam said, "Jones is already flying over here. We expect him shortly. As you know, we're good friends, and for a long time, we have been talking about him visiting the Dagestani guys for the second time to get some sessions in with the boys. The time has come." When asked if Islam and Khabib would be present during Jon's visit, Rustam replied with confidence, saying, "Of course, everybody will be here." The anticipation is sky high, and fans are eager to see what kind of training synergy emerges when Jon Jones steps onto the mats with Islam and Khabib.